Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another episode of Xa Talk Show. Today is July 6th, 2019, noon, 12 o'clock, 5 minutes after, and California time. So today we are going to talk about some random updates, computer programming related and stuff. So let me get things ready. Okay. So I'm alive. Yes, good. So let's begin. Let's talk about some of the interesting things. So let's talk about it's not talk show. Okay, let me mention this book. I happen to be working on this, my page about math books. So here are some of the greatest math books I recommend. Now, these are introduction to mathematics for amateur, for the mathematicians, for beginners, basically. There are a lot popularization books. They talk about math, but they are not really about the real mathematics. But over here, these books I introduce are real mathematics. So especially if you are a programmer, it's a good to study them. Uh, so one of them is this book, Groups and Their Graphs by Israel Grossman and Wilhelm Magnus. They were famous mathematicians. I think they both passed away like few decades ago. But anyway, so this is a book where I learned group theory back in 1990 for something like that, 97 maybe. So I highly recommend it. It's an introduction. It teaches you about group theory. So that's an interesting book. Then the other interesting book is Introduction to Graph Theory. Now, if you are a programmer, you probably would be more interested in graph theory. Group theory doesn't really have much applications in computer science, but it's such a fundamental topic of math. Group theory is part of algebra, modern algebra, or sometimes called abstract algebra. Group theory is fundamental to it. It's the most essential part. So if you are into math, you want to pick up some math, real math. You read this book. Or if you are, graph theory is also great, pure math, but it has a lot applications in programming. So if you are a programmer, maybe you are interested in this book, Introduction to Graph Theory. So those are great books, and actually, let me paste the link here so you guys can see it. Let's just paste it here. Uh, So if you have any comments, questions, any opinions, or just post it, type it. Okay, why is that highlighted? Okay, never mind. Anyway, so those are interesting math books. Uh, there are others, but let's not go over. You could read it the page yourself. Because we're gonna talk about a lot other things. So I'm going to talk about. So let's go to my website, xali.info. There's something interesting about keyboard. This thing we talked about yesterday for an hour. So there is this interesting keyboard. This is Lime 40 keyboard. It is a do-it-yourself keyboard made by Japanese people. The focus of this keyboard is that you see there's a video here. So basically, they designed this keyboard so that the thumb keys to them, according to them, they designed this for small hands. So if you are Asian or Japanese or Chinese, or South Asian, this might be good for you. But I cannot imagine how this is good because to me it looks like the thumb keys. It's like you have to particularly put your thumb under, like, you know. So I'm not sure it's that good. I don't know. I haven't tried it. But anyway, so that's an interesting keyboard from made by Japanese do-it-yourself keyboard. Now, I don't think they have a website. Otherwise, I like some of these is so new. They just posted on their Twitter. That's where I got these pictures. So I'm not sure there's a website you can go to and see the spec of the parts where you can buy and build it yourself. So I don't know. Anyway, you can check it out. So that's about keyboard. Then there is let's go back to my website. Let's talk about some of the other things. So there is the Egyptian hieroglyph. This is really fascinating. Egyptian hieroglyph. There are so many of them, and they are intricate. They are pictographs. You see, this picture shows a guy being bound. Okay, that's a guy being bound. When you look at these ancient languages, their writing systems. When you look at anything ancient, from it you can infer, what people are doing, or something about human animals, back in 2,000 or 3,000 years ago. So you see this Egyptian hieroglyph, then you have these. So apparently this is a guy bound, so apparently that's a common thing. You bind people because, for many reasons. The point here is that apparently, that is a common thing. So Egyptian hieroglyphs, there are so many of them. For example, this page is this hold on a second, let me get off. So this page just like go on. They are like so how many characters are there? All these birds, these how do you call this bird? Albatross or something? Anyone know? Type it. So let's open the page. Let's go back here. Let's make it link, and then go back here. Then open the page. So this is the Emacs, my editor, and for some sad reason, the characters does not show in Emacs. I have to do some configuration. That's a pain. That's one of the issue with Emacs. You have to spend a lot of time to configure it yourself. So you have Cranes. Good morning, FMS. So Egyptian hieroglyph. So it's fascinating. You see. So yeah, we are going to do how many characters, how many of these Egyptian hieroglyphs are there. So let's do a count. How many? There's a command in Emacs called how many. You just type the expression. So there are 1,073 of them in Unicode at least. So you see all these birds. Owls. This looks like a eagle. Owls, and this peacock, some kind of peacock, a bird. And you see this cobra. Then you have crane eating a fish. You have crocodile. You have toad or frog. You have these. What is this? and you have this what is this snail with a antenna. So yeah, and puffy fish. So Egyptian, these are Egyptian hieroglyph. Very very interesting. And these are apparently some kind of digits. This is one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. And there are several set of them. Like if if you look around, you'll see several set of apparently digits. For example, you have then these one, two, three, four, five, and more, and also here one, two, three, four. So um, so that's just interesting. So let me see. And yesterday I found, like you have to look at them, like each one of them carefully to see what they are. Like there are a thousand thousands of them, and this one is apparently a woman giving birth, and this is breastfeeding. And, and to look at this one, don't know what the fuck is this one. Here, over here. So you look at them, then you discover interesting things. So, for example, this woman giving birth and breastfeeding. So you can see, it's common. Like in modern society, you forgot, you don't see it. You don't see breastfeeding, except maybe you don't even. I was going to say maybe in your family, but the more modern, like affluent in a city, you don't see it. Maybe in rural societies, and maybe if you live in a podunk town, then you see your aunt or whatever, your family, your mom feeding, yeah, feeding your brothers or sisters, maybe. But modern society, basically, you don't see these kind of things. Women giving birth. But think about it, it's like it's so natural, it's fundamental, it's this is the basics of humanity, human animals. By the way, Egyptian hieroglyph, so I'm just talking about these random interesting things, and they also have animal characters. So you see these all kind of bulls and ox, and you see this is a antelope feeding, breastfeeding her young, and pigs, cat, dogs, and giraffe, antelope, goat, elephant, hippopotamus, lion or cougar, or what is this, rabbit. So that's interesting. By the way, so the other day I found something interesting. So hi guys, any opinions, comments, just type it. Okay, anything happening, it's good. So actually, let me show you. I discovered this interesting thing. Wordy English. So let's go to my English blog, literature blog, kind of. So I was wondering, why do human cook? Because what, like, I wonder why human animals cook. How we are not like cats, just eat raw. That seems convenient. Cats. You see cats, they can just eat raw. So why cannot we do it? It would be nice. I mean, one of the questions is, can we do it? Can we actually do it? Can we can you just start to eat things raw? Meat, cows, and eat them raw. So that's an interesting question. So apparently, this human cooking, it began like a few million, a million or 2 million years ago. And we have evidence of stoves basically like a million ago. We have because evidence of stoves a million ago, but it's supposedly we began this a million or 2 million years ago. So that is when I learned this, that's incredible because I always thought uh, yeah, so because I always thought that human animals, as if you watch my videos or my writings, you will often see that I use the phrase human animals often. To most people, they would think you are strange, you are fucking strange. What do you mean human animals? What's the deal with that word? And I explained this a few times. I use the term human animals because, in my view, there is no difference between any other animal. There's no distinction. There's no distinguishing qualities, not really, between human animals and other animals. Like when you read, literature or other places, like they say humanity or how humans are different because intelligence, or if you ask religious people, we are different because God created us, and so there are many different reasons, and in fact, it's normal. Like most people, they would say, human, they wouldn't they would make a distinction like we are not animals, like you guys are animals, cats, dogs, horse, or whatever, elephants, you are animals. We are not animals, okay? We are different because this or that. So I never, to me, I never bought any of that. It's just stupid. It's like uh it's not scientific. So I was thinking scientifically, there is no distinguishing qualities. For example, people say, well, humans are more intelligent. Not really. Well, yes, maybe we are more intelligent, but octopus, crows, they are highly intelligent, and yeah, but you can say that we are more intelligent, therefore we are different. But when you make a distinction of things, you have to give a criteria. Like, so why do you pick this particular criteria to set us apart from other animals? For example, you could say lions are actually uh, different from all other animals. Because why? Because lions, they've got they look yellow, they got a tail, they got this mane other other cats don't have. So almost everything, you can say it's different from all other animals. Like I can say, Xali, I'm different from all other human animals because, first of all, my name is Xa. You wouldn't find other animals that has that name. And also because I look like this, you wouldn't find another guy looks like this. So that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't make sense anymore to say something is different from another. You have to give out the criteria. What is your distinguishing criteria? So when you say human animals are different from others, I don't. To me, it all does not make sense. If you don't believe in religion or God, then you don't. But until I found this thing, I discovered this like last week. So we cook. We are different. Actually, we are different from all other animals. You could say scientifically because we cook. You will not find any other animals that cook. And so I started, I so because I put, then you started to see some other articles. There are articles on website that discuss this, and they say, some scientists believe, they actually say that human animals are different. The distinguishing qualities because we cook. Now, so what does what does it make cooking different? It makes a big difference because when you cook, um, it changes a lot of things. So we began this cooking a million years ago. So what does it mean, cooking? Basically, it means a control. Being able to control fire. So we apparently we discovered how to control fire. Then we started to cook. But why do we cook? It's because apparently when you cook meat, when you eat cooked meat, all the nutrients becomes easier to digest, and also it's faster to eat them. So, for example, if for example you just killed a cow, you killed a cow, let's say a bull, if you cook, then the same cow will last you for a month, for example, all the nutrient and all that. But if you don't cook, they don't last for a month. They last maybe for a week. So the cooking, after you cook the meat, the nutrients, it so happens that you can digest them easily, absorb them more easily, something like that. So therefore, we cook, and because it's efficient, because it saves you time to hunt, and you get more nutrition, you got no more energy. So that makes so that what is my point? I didn't want to drag on about this, but anyway, so this is a great discovery. So what's the point? So why is cooking what the so it seems since we started cooking, it changed our behavior, significantly. We got more nutrition, we got everything, we saved energy, and oh yeah, we developed brain. Our brain size started to grow, different from other animals, um, because I forgot what's the reason, but anyway, then we started to have agriculture and stuff. Anyway, so I thought this is interesting. So now this actually changed my mind. So I can no longer say, I used to emphasize, I use the phrase human animals because first of all, I do not see any difference between human animals and other animals. Secondly, I like to emphasize the scientific perspective. I don't like the God, religious perspective. So you could you could just say humans, but I put animals after that to emphasize the scientific perspective, and also kind of like snub the religious, kind of their perspective. And so not just humans, but human animals. Uh, but now having learned about this, I think maybe it's time to change that, because I cannot actually say human animals and think that, because I no longer think that there's no difference between animals and human animals. There's a difference because we cook. I mean, it's significant. I failed to explain why, but I kind of my brain is mushy right now. But anyway, that is very interesting. So let's see, 4 people, 5 people watching. So okay, human animals. So what else? Let's go back to let's see what other things let's talk about. Um, okay, so that's my blog, and what is this hieroglyph, and let's go to my website. So let's go to my website, and that's keyboard programming. So Egyptian hieroglyph. Then there is okay. Then that's it about that. Some other interesting things about Unicode. Here's another interesting thing about Unicode. You have this linear B. Okay. how long have I been talking? So 5 minutes. I got a lot of things to talk about. I forgot. Anyway, so Linear B is another Asian script. So Linear B was used for writing Mycenaean Greek about 1450 BC. So that is 3.5 thousand years ago. It is descended from the older Linear A, an undeciphered earlier script. So you got this Linear B characters, then you got these Linear A characters. They are like 3,000 or 4,000 years ago. So Linear A is still not deciphered, meaning that we don't know what it means. And you look at them, you also find, just like the Egyptian hieroglyph, you find interesting characters. For example, this one. This looks like, I was mentioning, this one is probably a head of a bull or something. So I was talking about Egyptian hieroglyph. You have these different animals, and today we have we have emojis. Like emojis, you also have animals. You also have all these different animals, but the interesting thing is that they are already in the Egyptian hieroglyph. So anyway, so Linear B, then yesterday, a few days ago, I discovered. So in Linear B, you also have these antelope, these reindeer deer or antelope, some kind of and horse. So this is like 3,000 years ago, and but you found this where is it? This character, Linear B ideogram B162 garment. So this pictograph is apparently it's a garment. It represents a garment, and this one is a armor. So you can see that this is how you dig history. So you can see. So they have the concept. They apparently they have armor back in 3,000 or 4,000 years ago. It would be interesting to learn about these Asian texts, but we got a lot of things to do. Modern society, you are busy with so many things. And then look at this, this one. This one looks like a dick. What else could it be? And what the hell is this? And by the way, you also and what is this? And also in Egyptian hieroglyph, you have a character like you have these penis characters. But by the way, Microsoft censored this character. In modern society, we have this crap. Like let me show you. Okay, so okay, yeah. So you have these stick pictures, but on Microsoft Windows, if you view this page on Microsoft Windows, you will not see these characters. They are just blanks, like blank squares. So it's censorship. It's amazing this day. At this stage of age, you want to censor that because it doesn't make sense anymore. This is Asian. Good morning, Boyer Benoit. Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Boyer. Thanks for your amazing Emacs package. Thank you. Which one? Xafly keys. Thank you for that. I'm always glad to hear about them. So, if you have any questions about Emacs, feel free to ask. So which package were you happy using? Uh, So yeah, so yeah, so Unicode, interesting Unicode characters. Yeah, so I was saying it would be interesting to study them, Asian languages. But then, you don't have time. You have so many things to study, computer science or math. Each one of them can take you 10 years, and 10 years is not enough. Then, if you want to study linguistics, there are hundreds of languages. Then, it's a deep hole. So anyway, let's go to the next topic. I want to talk about there's this web dev. I'm hoping to I want to do a JavaScript coding session where so next topic. Okay, so let me just go through them one by one. Where is this web dev? There is a topic where, oh wow, you only started I mean, you just started Emacs 2 months ago, and the Sapphire keys you are using. Great, thank you. Yeah, so I've been using Emacs for 20 years now, and as so new people are coming, to use Emacs, but I kind of forgot. It's like you've been there for a long time. You forgot there are new people coming to use Emacs. Um, Okay, so anyway, so there's this thing I want to talk about, which is about where is it? Programming. Let's see. Programming web dev. Oh, frame HTML frame set. Okay, this is interesting to things to talk about. So so let me begin. So there is this if you do web dev or if you are familiar with HTML, there is this thing called HTML frame set. Let me show you what it is. Okay. Now it is still used by JavaScript, JavaDoc. So let's show an example of HTML frame set. So you go to Java documentation, the JavaDoc. Let's so anyway, so this is a frame set. This is a frame set. So what is a frame set? It's basically just HTML tags you can use in HTML, and it will create a interface like this, like a panel. Like let me magnify. So you got this navigation panel. You see the navigation panel on the side. You can click on a topic, and you see, and you can also adjust. Let me magnify. You can also adjust the width of the panel, in also vertically or horizontally if you want. Let's go to, let's say, Emacs packages. Whatever you pick a topic. So this is HTML. This is called HTML frame set, and it's extremely useful. It's very useful, because you pick a topic on the left, and you can, then the panel shows on the right. And this began. It was invented by Netscape, I think. It began in 1996, at least 1996, and it's widely popular. It's until around 2006 or 2007, it start to disappear. Why? Because there is this user interface guru. He wrote an article about how frame set is harmful. It's harmful. It's no good. So uh, so basically, his opinion about the reason. Let me show you why. Let me show you the article. why HTML frame set is deprecated, is obsolete. Okay, let's see that. Okay, yeah, so you can see some of the Stack Overflow articles about here. So this guy, he wrote an article starting in 1996. This article, he criticized frame set frames. Okay, he said because he gave a few reasons, but basically the two major reasons is that when you have a frame set, uh, you cannot, it's difficult to bookmark the page. For example, I'm looking at this page and I want to bookmark it, but I cannot really, at least not in the old days, because if I bookmark the page, the URL points to this frame set page. It does not actually point to this particular point in the frame set. For example, I open a new tab, I paste the URL and enter. You just go to the beginning of the frame set page. So his point about why frame set sucks is that one, it destroys the bookmark expectation. The bookmark, the URL basically no longer works. It changes the meaning of URL. That's one of his reason. And the other reason is the unit of navigation. But anyway, so that's kind of the primary reason. The URL no longer works. You can read the article for his other reasons. But the thing is, frame set is extremely useful. So he wrote this article in 1996, but a lot of people, it did not have practical effect back then, because frame set is truly one of the most useful things. Like you have the navigation panels everyone need to do. So everyone was using it, back in, from 1996 to 2006, let's say. A huge amount of page, have frame set, but they began to disappear when HTML, especially when HTML5 began, because HTML5. So the reason is that basically they gave the reason same as this guy. Basically, it came from this guy. This guy is actually three guys, Nelson Norman Group. You can find their names on Wikipedia. How they came to be. They came. Anyway, so the HTML5. The reason given for to obsolete the frame set is that they basically the same reason as this guy said. So they make it obsolete. Basically in HTML5 you are not supposed to use it. And they say they created a new thing called iframe. Let me show you what the iframe is. HTML iframe, which is kind of the same, but not really. Iframe allows you to embed a HTML page inside another HTML page. So many people say that iframe can totally replace the functionality of frame set without all the drawbacks of the frame set. But it's actually not true. People think today with JavaScript, CSS, iframe, and JavaScript, you don't need frame set anymore, because CSS, iframe, and JavaScript, they totally replace the functionality of frame set. But that's not true. That's not true at all. But because if you look at all the web today, for example, if you look at, let's go to JavaScript in depth, okay? Because for example, I have been trying to do the frame set, with CSS and JavaScript. I tried so many ways with iframe, and all this tech. There's no way I cannot come up with anything that it has the functionality of the HTML frame set. Uh, so yeah, so let me show you. So for example, let's see. Let's go to an example. Let's say JavaScript iterator. Okay, let's just go to the Mozilla website. So here is the example. Hold on a second. Let me do this. Let's go to the Mozilla website, and let's also go to the W3 Schools website, which is very popular. So you can see the Mozilla website. They also have a panel on the left. You see a navigation panel. They don't use FrameSet. All the modern website they don't use FrameSet. And you look at the W3 three schools webpage. They also have navigation panels on the side. So so you see, and they are not using FrameSet neither. And same thing with Mozilla website. But you can see there's a problem. Let me show you what is the problem. So here's a FrameSet, Javadoc FrameSet. You go to a page. Let's say I want to go to, Java is extremely complicated. Let's say let's go. Actually, let's go to Java Land. Okay, go to Java Land. Then let's go down here. Let's go to String Builder. Let's say go to String. Okay, so we are in Java Land panel, and let's go to String. So this page describes the string in Java language. Okay, so now, so after you read that, let's go to string buffer, which is a different type. You see, so you can see it's smooth. This panel doesn't jump around. It doesn't jump or flash. Then you can scroll up and down. Then you can pick another one. Let's say system. Okay, that's frame set. Now let's try the modern, so-called modern CSS and iframe and JavaScript. Okay, so this website W3 Schools. So you pick a page. Let's say you scroll down. Let's say you go to DOM intro. Now watch the left panel. You see how they flash and regenerate. That's very annoying. That's confusing. You see. Let me try another one. Let's go down. Let's go to Navigator. Okay. You see, that's no good. That's a behavior you don't want. And by the way, in order to do that, in order to create a user interface, like the friend said, such that when you click something, the the navigation panel stays in this scroll position. It doesn't begin, back at the top. In order to do that, for the navigation panel to stay the position, you have to use JavaScript. That's one of the first problem. You have to use JavaScript. If, for example, in this W3 Schools page, if I go to Firefox and view it, I have JavaScript off here, and you can see if I go down, I click on the DOM intro. You see the left panel no longer stays at where I just clicked. I have to try to find where I was. That's a major problem. You see, I have to scroll again, try to find where I was. Let's see. Like, yeah, I was here, DOM intro. So now let's go to JS browser. Boom, JS window. Let's click there. You see the left panel again starts at beginning, because there is no way to do it without JavaScript. So you have to do it with JavaScript. But if you use JavaScript, then I mean, then you still have the problem where the left panel will just like flash and regenerate because it's trying to use JavaScript to find where you were. So that's no good. So that's a problem. So what I'm saying is that essentially that I think, okay, there is basically no way. There is actually, to this day, doesn't matter you use CSS, JavaScript, iframe. There is no. It's impossible, actually impossible to replicate the functionality of the frame set. So that is basically that is my point. Um, Now, if you want to learn about HTML frame set, you can just read my tutorial. Let me post the link here. Um, so so what is so what I, so what I'm trying to say. So the one thing I'm trying to say is that with today's all the technology, JavaScript, CSS, iframe, there is no way to replicate the frame set technology using HTML frame set. Uh, that's my claim. Okay. But however, if you go to all these websites, like the common typical programmers on Hacker News, on the web designers, this crap, these fuckers, they will all say oh, beginning in 1996, starting with this guru fuck. These web design gurus, they tell you what to do. Starting with this article, every time you meet people, these elite programmers, they'll tell you, oh, FrameSet is no good because this or that. But actually, it's just false. Like we have just demonstrated, uh, you know, that the behavior on this W3 school is not the same as the FrameSet, and also you can try with the Mozilla website. Mozilla website, they are supposed to be the experts. They create the Firefox browser. Same thing. Same thing happens. It's just clunky without using FrameSet. Yeah, there it is. Let's see. It doesn't even try to move you to the original position. It does not even try to do that. So first of the problem is that the frame set, today you still don't have the technology to do the frame set. That's one thing. The second thing, my point is that all these elite programmers, they tell you what to do all the time on on Hacker News or whatever, Reddit or whatever. They they will just claim, oh, FrameSet has got problems, and they will claim that the iframe replace all functionality as a frame set. You can see in this Stack Overflow. You can see this guy is a question: why are frames deprecated in HTML? And you can see this best answer 57 votes up explains it. And there is another article somewhere here. For example, they sometimes they refer to each other. But anyway, if you look around these Stack Overflow answers, you will see many will claim that, oh, FrameSet is not useful because these problems, and the iframe can do whatever it can. That's just not true. That's the fucking patently false. Okay. But however, it doesn't stop all this. It seems like this is very strange. That's what I'm talking about. Sometimes the programmer communities, they call me a troll. So you have this situation where all these programmers, all these people says one thing, but you try, like we try to see it, it doesn't seem to be true. And here's the thing, try to find any website, try as you can. Try to find, find any website. See if there is I myself have not find a single website that has the functionality of a frame set, uh, but without using the HTML for frame set. That is the issue. So what's going on? It's like everyone is saying 1 + 1 = 3. So that's a problem. So that is kind of wraps up about the topic, and that also kind of wraps up about today's talk. I think 50 minutes. Yeah. So let's see the comments. So what do you think about the shifting of the industry over API SaaS? What do you mean? Well, like I'm not familiar. What do you mean? So what is SaaS? SaaS. Oh, software as a service. Okay. My first reaction when I see these software as a service and shifting to it, if that is true, my first reaction is I want to fucking flame the open source fuckheads, the open source fans. Why? So why software as a service? Of course, because when the society, when everyone is crying, oh, you need to open source, the commercial, anyone cannot make money out of open source, then of course they want to move to as a service. Then basically cloud, basically it means store your data in their computer, not your computer. And then you got all this privacy abuse. They API everywhere when it is not needed. What do you mean? Like, I don't know what you mean. Like, yeah, so you have to kind of explain. Like, because in programming, um, all this context, you kind, yeah, I don't know what you mean. Every API everywhere when it's not needed. But anyway, my first reaction about software as a service is, it's just that corporations has to do that. They do that. The rise of the cloud is, in my opinion, okay, I would claim it's true, but let's be polite and let's just say, in my opinion, it's one of the major reason why the cloud rise up is because open source, open source fanatism from the open source and the free software, the open source, idiots, like the open source. I talked about this. This is one of my main rant in my video talk show many times. We want, what I want. I share many. I'm a nerd. Like, I share many of these what these elite programmers want. I like privacy. I don't want, I don't like big corporations like Google, Facebook, Twitter. They fuck. They, and I don't really like commercialism. I think it's necessary and good. And basically I don't really like commercialism, if we can avoid it. But as opposed to some of these open source and free software fucks, they well, anyway, so my point is that about, so open source, because these are idiots, because they are blind, they become blind ideology. Ultimately, what we want is that we want power to small people, like, weak small people. We don't want power that, all the power belongs to big corporations, or few handful of people. That is the ultimate goal, of open source and free software. That's what I say. Okay, more important. This goal is more important than whatever, the Free Software Foundation, they're specific, or the open source specific. For example, the Free Software Foundation, they are, if you ask them, you read their, uh, proclamations, their gist is that they want to share. It's essentially a communism idea. Share, we share resources. Basically, as a moral, with a moral background, from the background of morality. The free, Richard Stallman, they want people to share. Programmers, you have to share. Um, while the open source is kind of like a offshoot, it's like a branch. It turned on, its focus is that software must be open so that blah blah blah. But basically, it's just writing off the Free Software Foundation, Richard Stallman. So anyway, their idea is not so bad. Okay, yeah, why not share? And also they by the way, they also allow people to make money. Make not be mistaken about that. They do actually. They actually Richard Stallman, he used to sell, like, you send me money, I give you my Emacs. He does that. They allow that, money exchange for software, but it must include the source code. But anyway, but the more important idea is that more important than this specific is that you want the power to belong to small people. It's like American, typical Americans are infatuated with the concept of democracy. We must have democracy. But often it's used, the word democracy is used as a excuse to violate, other countries so that Americans benefit. So anyway, yeah, so you want power to be, and you don't want corporations do evil and bad things, such as like corruption, like they lie. For example, they take your data and they say, okay, if you don't want that, you can say, go to your preferences and say, I don't want to let Google use my data. But they do anyway. That's no good. That's a lie. That's explicitly no good in any branch of morality. Any brand of morality. But that's what these companies all do. And Apple and Microsoft, all these companies, Facebook. So that's what happens today. So anyway, back to the topic, software as a service. Why does this cloud thing rise up? Because of the open source ideology fucks. When you and the interesting thing is about this is that all these most white people in America, okay, they make money. Life is too good, and they feel guilty. They want to. Meanwhile, they find the concept of helping is such a great concept. They really want to help. So so the open source idea and free software becomes bigger and bigger. Today it's like in all corporations, it's embraced by Google, Facebook, Microsoft, all corporations. In fact, it is it is exactly these evil corporations, Google, Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, they are contributing to open source. They are pushing the most money. They are actually pushing the idea of open source now, and they benefit. Nobody else, not you little programmers. They benefit big time, billions of dollars. And they moved everything to cloud, like servers, so what I'm saying, okay, back to the topic, is that the reason the cloud rose, because the open source ideology, because they can no longer do proprietary software. Once you have open source, you cannot essentially you eliminated the vast, basically your chances of making money is gone. And that's not reality. You have to survive. I write software, you have to survive. You cannot. So anyway, what most programmers, in fact, the vast majority of the open source ideology fucks. They work for Google, they work for Microsoft, they make a lot of money. And this patent, they have billions number of patents. Oracle, they work for them by day, and at night they sing open source. Oh, it's open source. They live in comfort. They own Apple's, whatever Apple's latest. They talk about it. They buy it. Apple. Fuck open source. Fuckheads. and the Linux fuckheads. Okay, so sorry about my rant. I know actually, a lot of my people, my followers are, Linux fans and open source fans, and that because that's the community I live. Even though I don't have money, um, because I don't like big corporations. So okay, let me give you a point, kind of a summary. So I'm thinking, so my point is that if you want good, if you want, for example, the good ideas, the good essential, the ethical, moral, whatever ideas about open source or free software, you want to stick to reality. Okay, you don't want to blindly, follow a ideology. For example, open source and free software foundation. So to me, these ideas are not bad. Yeah, share. Why not? If you can, help other people. But things got wrong, becomes wrong, when they become an ideology. It's like a giant wheel. It just keeps rolling. Like the spice must flow. Does it just wipe out anything in its path? That's what happening today. Like originally, when Richard Stallman or these people they create open source, they are like anti-social. Like they are. That's like most other people will laugh at them. Fuck you, open source. What this weird guy Richard Stallman. Why you create that? Because so Richard Stallman, so he's thinking. So he's the philosophy free software, and it's come from thinking. But that's different from today. It's like 180-degree reversal. Like all the people believing in open source, that's mainstream. That's people who don't think. It's, oh yeah, open source, open source, open source. Every time you say something, they immediately, there's like on Twitter, there's 100 people. They'll come, oh no, that you are wrong. We need to open source, blah blah blah. And they have no reasons. Their reason is whatever. Like not unique reasons is common. They don't think. So anyway, so yeah, so I'm saying, yeah, open source free software, that's not a bad idea. I mean, it's a good idea, especially in the beginning, because it's counter to the powerful corporations, those greedy commercial. Nothing wrong with free trade. Commercial is good, but what is wrong is that they become, let's say, corrupt. Where they lie. That's when things are, that's not good. Being a corporation is good. You make money. You know I sell something. You like it, you buy. You don't like it, don't buy it. That's the thing. But then, okay, things gradually change over the past 30 years. Then today we have these corporations, extremely evil. Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Twitter. They lie all the time. They are extremely powerful, and they are open source. Yeah, they are they are the pushers for open source ideology. Why? Because the more they push, the more power they have. Because you as a programmer, you have, they rob you all of your power. They force you open source. They got programmers working for them. Yeah, you go work for Google. You make a lot of money. $10,000 a month. Then they make you sing open source at night. So you put your stuff on GitHub. So people like me who do not open, you don't work for Google or Microsoft. When I write a program, I cannot survive. You know, like because there are million libraries already out there. They have pictures, like they have designers creating logos, nice logos, nice animations. They they wipe you out. uh, so Google benefits. Yeah, Google, and all these programmers, they work for Google every day. They are singing, oh, we are helping for humanity. We are, we it must be open source. That's what happening. That's the thing. Okay, yeah, well, that's another rant about open source. I think, I kind of do this often. But anyway, so that's it for today. Um, 1 hour. So any other questions? I'm not going to show that, because Google is it ties to politics and other things, because as you know, today we have social justice, and Google, Facebook, they are all doing censorship. It's all, y- you know. So what I'm saying, yeah. So you have to, so when things are complex in society, you have to think about things, not blindly follow, you know, just follow things. Okay, but yeah, so that's it for today. So yeah, that's it for today. And yeah, okay. So last thing I want to mention, kind of so my video, my talk show is erratic. Like I don't have a schedule, and that has been a problem always. Like people want to, you know, check out my talk show, but they don't know what time I'm gonna be on because my sleeping time changes all the time. So I think what I'm going to do is that I'm going to like announce the next one. Like if you go to my YouTube, so what I should do is that every time you go to YouTube, you'll see a live video, like a template, and I will say when that one is going to be alive. So for example, like right now I'll plan. So tomorrow, so it looks like tomorrow noon is a good time. I will do a video tomorrow. So I will then create a live video template, with a timestamp tomorrow. Then if you subscribe to me, then you can see it. Oh, so next one is, so basically, essentially, you will always, hopefully, you will always have one, you know, uh, template that says when is the next one, and you can like subscribe to that. Okay, yeah. So thank you guys for watching. Hope to see you next time. Bye.